There's this idea of fake it till you make it. And I never accepted that because I was always like, I don't feel like you should ever try to be something that you're not.
You're not faking it, you're becoming it. If you were a rich billionaire and you think rich billionaires should wear suits, it would make sense you start wearing suits. You wouldn't wait till you're a billionaire. It's like, become the billionaire now. By the way, for anyone listening, it took me about 10 sessions to wrap my head around this. So if you're thinking, this is complete horseshit, I totally can relate. I started doing it and it started working because I would notice my thoughts would change. When my thoughts changed, my actions would change, and then I get a different result. I was like, oh shit, like it works. We're influenced all day by other people. What you guys say will go in my head. TV, music, etc. I think really you have to have your own document or thing you live by, because otherwise you just get influenced by the world. Most of the world is a mess, man.
You've done $115 million in the last 6 years. You're not a thing person. You're not buying the newest Balenciaga even though you got sick Balenciaga shoes on right now. But what does keep you moving then?
So when I started, that was the motivation. So I had a goal to hit $1 million in a month. I saw an ad with Billie Jean, and I remember looking at him and just thinking, what does this guy have that I don't? Not from a jealous standpoint. I thought he really did. Some people will try to discredit you. I was just like, there's no way this guy is smarter than me. That was my mindset. So I started building the business. I hit $1 million in a month in 18 months. It was really fast, really fast. And then when I got there, I had a huge party over at 1000 Museum. So that's when I got the Lamborghini. I moved into 1000 Museum. I mean, I think the floor is $40,000 a month.
Damn.
It's like David Beckham's there. Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Whoa.
But it's not worth it, in my opinion, by the way. It's definitely not worth it. But I did all that, and then I had this huge party, because it was this milestone for me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I hit this goal. I set it out. I did it. And I remember someone came over and they said, what's the party for? And I said, I just hit $1 million in a month, And I was like super pumped. And they're like, cool. And then they didn't care at all. And it was my party and it was my house. And I just remember thinking, damn, I just gave up the last year and a half of my life. When I say that, I mean, I did not go out. I did not date. I mean, I wasn't even a really good boyfriend at the time. I had a girlfriend, but I remember on her birthday, we went to dinner. It was her birthday. We went to dinner for 2 hours. I worked all day, went to dinner for 2 hours, came home, worked more. But I didn't think anything of it. I was in grind mode. I was like, this is where my life's at. Like, you can stay here, you can leave type deal, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't from a bad place, but looking back, probably not the best advice, guys, for girls if you want to keep them.
Yeah.
So I got really depressed for a bit because I remember thinking, man, there's got to be people out there who don't know who Mark Zuckerberg is or Oprah Winfrey or Barack Obama, whoever. And so they definitely don't know who I am. So why am I doing all this work? Because it doesn't really matter. And past a certain revenue goal, you'll hear people talk about it. The richest people I know, they spend $1 to $2 million a year, maybe a little more, but it's excessive too. They're paying for private jets and yachts and it's pretty hard. Even if you eat out every day, let's say the dinner's $500, it's not going to be $2 million, right? Even if you pay rent. So let's say your rent was $40,000 a month. That's maybe, I don't know, say it's $500,000 or 600,000. Then you go out to dinner every night. Let's say that's $500,000. You're at $1 million. I mean, and that's just being excessive. You can get really nice stuff for 20 grand, whatever. So what happened was I went down this path and I was hiring therapists and I went off the rail for a bit. I want to say off the rail. I mean, I think people thought I was going off the rail. So that's their words.
What does that look like?
I was just posting. I'm really honest. I'm really direct. So I was posting stuff about my ayahuasca trips and my bufo trips and my ibogaine trips. And I was posting about my relationship that broke up, which, it's just stupid shit. Where I look back now, I'm like, why would I post about my relationship publicly? I actually remember, it was funny, Brandon Carter, I remember I was asking him for some advice and he's a pretty funny guy. And he said, yeah, dude, he's like, must be tough being a jack tall millionaire. And he actually helped me for him saying that because he was trying to be, he's like, you're being ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyways, I went down that path of discovery and then I talked to a bunch of people, but I think Alex actually helped me the most. And the reason is he's like more nihilistic. And I'm not saying that's the right path, but I remember him saying, dude, why do you need to have this life purpose or life mission? Like, why don't you just find what you like and do it? And if you don't know the answer to everything, that's fine. I was like, okay. So after I went on a 6-month sabbatical, I stepped out of my business. I didn't realize, but I was really miserable. I didn't notice till I came back. It's almost as if you eat McDonald's every day. And so after a while, your body gets used to it. And then you have a salad and you're like, holy shit, I felt like shit. I didn't notice. So I started working. And then I realized as I work, I just enjoy the personal development. The money, no matter how much you make, there's always someone ahead of you. which sometimes will be depressing because you'll hit a goal and then it's like, oh yeah, I did that yesterday, right? My little trip I just did to Vegas, I think they're doing like $5 million a day. I mean, that's crazy, man. $5 million a day. Like I mean, if you're doing $1 million a month, it's like that, they're like laughing, they're like, that's a joke.
5 million. Who's doing
$5 million a day? Probably. I think they're doing Alex. They probably do like $5 million with his portfolios. Whoa, right? Like I think, or they're getting close to it. Like I don't want to put. He didn't say that, so I just want to for the record. But that's what I'm assuming. Yeah. Right? So for me, I really just started to fall in love with the process because what I realized is that the biggest companies and the best leaders have teams, and for you to have a big team, that means you have to become someone they want to be like. So people will put down Elon Musk, but people respect Elon. That's why he can be an asshole, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, people look at Elon, they're like, yo, this guy is the truth. He's legit. Yeah. It's all personal development, so he can garner a lot of attention. So for me, it's just turned more into a personal development game. I also want to do other things, like in the coaching business. There's very few people who've hit my numbers. I don't really have anything else to prove. I also know it's not going to be a 9-figure exit. So I've moved into other things.
And that's where the SaaS comes in, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got 3 ways from what I've seen. Because during that time off, I was interviewing a bunch of billionaires. There were a few, but there was also people 40 million to 4 billion. I mean, so all these people are serious players. The common thread I saw was they had an internet marketing background. They didn't make up the idea because I thought I had to come up with an idea. And they were like, no, bro, like when you see a problem, just fix it. So they said, what's in your industry right now with the avatar you have? That's a massive issue. That's how I came up with my next idea. And I thought it was too easy, right? It came to me too easy. So I thought I was going down the wrong path. But I talked to Justin Hartfield. I was like, how did you come up with weed maps? He's like, yeah, like I just like smoking weed and it was hard to like find a good weed song. It wasn't this crazy idea. And that actually shocked me. So I went through all that and they did internet marketing backgrounds typically. They sold high ticket. So, or it was something where they had a lot of easy traffic or high ticket. Most of them were high ticket though. So like $1,500 or more, whatever. And then they had easy to no fulfillment. So when you think about Weed Maps or Yelp, there is no fulfillment. When you think about like school now, right? We know school, there's no fulfillment. Like you use it or you don't use it. Yeah. So tech hits that box. The other thing that can hit the box is private equity, right? You buy a bunch of companies, you have massive leverage, depending on the company you buy, it's easy to know fulfillment, right? The best companies usually have that. The reason consulting doesn't scale past a certain point is the fulfillment scales with it. And unless you go big, so you go like McKinney or Gary Vee's ad agency. But if you're working with a low level business owner, their skills are too low and their expectations are too high. So no matter how, it's like being a basketball coach. No matter how many times I show you how to shoot a 3-pointer, you're still going to suck, right?
Why do you believe most people get stuck at a certain revenue point? Is it belief, skill, or something else?
It's usually team. That's the biggest one. So past 100K, most people, you can get to 100K with maybe 2-3 people a month. Past that, it's all team.
You're saying?
Yeah, a month.
Okay,
yeah, like I was doing 100,000 a month. I had a sales rep, 2 or 3 setters, 2 coaches, I think, max. Might have been less. So you can be a shitty leader and kind of like make it happen. It's very small. But if you get to 100 staff, it's all about the people you hired. And so learning how to lead people and get them to do what you want and how to have insight on who to hire and all that stuff takes a lot of skill, right? So most people that I work with who are at the 6-7 figure mark and they want to get to 8, they just have very poor leadership skills. Leadership skills, you could actually, if you were a good leader, hypothetically, you wouldn't need any other skill and could be rich. It just doesn't usually happen. But if you knew how to get people to do stuff, like if I'm building a tech company, I don't have to learn how to build tech. I just have to find someone who can, right? But you obviously have to be a good judge of character. You have to be a good leader they want to follow. You have to, something else I noticed is you have to have a product that's big enough for them. You're not going to get someone who wants to make 50K a month who's going to work in your internet marketing business. Like they want bigger upside, right? So there's stuff like that I've learned, but I think most people, they just can't build a team. And the other thing is just they're just mentally weak. I did door-to-door sales for 9 months. And it takes me 5 seconds to say it, but if you guys saw what I went through, it was, to this day, it was harder than doing 100 million in sales by far. Like it was that hard because it's 8 hours on the doors, you're sweating, people hate you, they're cussing at you. And so think of like you're working out at the gym and you're trying to convince someone to buy something at the same time. Like it's super difficult. This is easy. I'm just sitting here. I'm in AC. It's just different. So most people I meet, they overthink, they worry too much. They're not a number person. They get very emotional about their decisions. I'm not saying this in a negative sense, but I believe there's more male entrepreneurs on average because male are more logical. It's easier to run a business with numbers than it is with emotion. Emotion's not a great way to predict a business or make decisions. On average, women are more emotional. There's emotional guys too, but on average, right? So like even the best operators I see, I'll bring up people like Layla or John Madsen's wife, Nineveh. I don't know if you guys know her. They are very aggressive. They are not normal for women. I'm not saying that in a negative sense. It's just you can tell they're operators, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's really those two things. There's other stuff, but that's usually the biggest stuff I'm trying to combat.
Is there something specific character-wise you're looking for when you're hiring, building team?
Oh yeah. So this is funny. When I started, I think I wasn't as good as a leader as I am now. I still have room to improve. I think that's a sign of an intelligent person. I think when you think you've arrived, that's where you fail. Great book about that called Ego's the Enemy. But when I first hired people, I was very stringent, right? And I didn't have a lot of time. So it was pretty much like, do your job, get it done. If you can't get it done, fuck off. It was very just cutthroat because it was really coming from a place of I didn't have time. I'm like, look, dude, I don't have time. I'm very serious. Like, please get it done. As I scaled the business and I read more business books, a lot of those business books are like, learn how to be nice to others and do this and that. And so I kind of went the other direction. The thing about those business books is that the person actually has to be smart, right? Like they have to be an A player. So what happened is I let people in my business who didn't think the way I thought. They didn't think, they're more like work-life balance. They don't want to work hard. Maybe they saw things differently than me. They didn't coach the same way. They wanted to go off emotion and not numbers. And then my business would slip. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hire anyone who doesn't think the way I think. And it's actually better because you want to attract people who see the world the way you do. It's like Elon. It's not like Elon's when he went to Twitter, he got rid of everyone who thought differently. That's actually what you need to look for. So what you have to do is you have to have a standard and then you're unwilling to compromise your standard, which means you have to be good at confrontation, which most people are not. I don't really care. I've gotten better at not being rude, but I'm very good at this is what's expected. This is where we're going. If you can't handle it or do it, I'm not going to babysit you. You're gone. Like you're cut. Like, cause I don't have energy for that anymore. When I was in my business, I'd be very tolerant thinking that was a high level skill, but it's really not. Like having tolerance for mediocrity is not a good skill to learn.
What are your thoughts on hiring friends?
Yeah. So I have my brothers. I had a friend before. My brothers are different though. I had a really good experience with my brothers, but you guys have to understand, the new companies they went in, as soon as they got there, they're basically considered the best employees. I've had the owners reach out and tell me like, yo, your brothers are psychos. I'm like, yeah. Right? So that's different. Worked very well for me. When they split, it was just like the company wasn't doing as well and they had pretty big salaries and we just felt that was the best move. I'm glad, honestly. It's like probably hard being under your brother forever. That went good. I had a friend that didn't go as well in the beginning, but I've just never had an issue with confrontation. But I think it's because I did door-to-door sales. I've been an athlete. I just don't. I would sack the quarterback and I get cussed out because I didn't drop in coverage.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I just you just get immune. And I see a lot of people, they stress so much and they worry about stuff so much. And I just choose to ignore it because it's not worth my energy. Right.
You just touched on the athlete part of it. Yeah. How we look at hiring is if you don't, it's not so much that you have to be participating in organized sports, but you at least have to have the values of somebody that did. Mm-hmm. Those people I find are usually the best employees. Do you agree?
Usually. Yeah. I wouldn't say they have to. So meaning if someone hasn't played sports, will they be a bad employee? No, but the traits and the characteristics that they had to learn from sports usually transfer very well to business. In fact, when I started doing business, I just remember thinking, oh, this is just a mental game. It's the same effort. It's just mental instead of physical. Because I played football growing up. Mm-hmm. I was also an engineer. So actually I was like pretty used to pretty rigorous stuff, but yeah, it's just a mental game. And the thing about business is you can be tall, white, black, short, orange, green, blue. It's actually more competitive than sports. Sports is, if you're not fast and big, like you can't play. So it's actually less competitive than business, but yeah, it really helped me a lot. And, my dad, I think really helped with that too. My dad was a teacher. We had 7 kids, so we had no money. He made more money from his odd jobs than he did from being a teacher. And when I grew up, I remember seeing my dad and I thought that was normal. And then I went into the real world and I was like, wow, you guys' dads are lazy. Mm-hmm. Because my dad was a beast. He would never, it was crazy because I just know now I actually have a lot of gratitude for it. He would never allow us not to have what we needed, but I didn't realize at the time how hard he worked. So I was just an ungrateful, selfish kid because I didn't understand, but he worked, we never went without. We didn't have more than we needed, which I think is why I was driven to make a lot of money. But my dad just was like, my dad's one of the hardest working guys I've ever met.
What do you think you took away from growing up with 7 kids or 7 brothers and sisters?
I don't want 7 kids was the main thing. I grew up really religious, so it was a little different. My family's not as close as we should be. We're a little closer now, but growing up, because we had a lot of religious rules, we didn't talk as much because we didn't want to get in trouble, right? So if you're not doing what mom and dad said, it was you didn't know which of the siblings was on your side, right? It was like, I had Kareen and Alicia, and then I had Ben, and I'm like, who can I tell, right? Who can I tell? So, I mean, you had to, for me, it wasn't, I don't know. I don't remember it being a huge deal. I remember we had to share a lot, and I remember my younger brothers looking up to me a lot. That was important for me. But outside of that, dude, I was just pretty dedicated. At 12 years old, I was going to the gym at 5 a.m. So the way I attack business now was how I attack sports. I would work out. I remember as a 14-year-old, I worked out 3 times a day just so I could make varsity, not knowing if I would make varsity. And I was one of 3 sophomores to make varsity. And I remember the coaches were like, this guy's a psycho. But that's how bad I wanted. So I would work out 9 hours a day. I'd do 3 hours of lifting, 3 hours of running, and I would do 3 hours of basketball because I was a 2-sport athlete. And I was probably way overtraining. I mean, even if you're eating 10,000 calories a day, I was lot. Dude, I was sore. Like I was extremely sore. But that's how serious I took athletics. And then when I came to business, I took it the same way because when athletics ended, I was like, I can be a rapper, and I've never rapped, probably not gonna work out, or a singer. I can be a politician. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I could be an actor. I went to LA and I talked to an acting coach, and the coach was actually a Kellen Lutz's agent at the time. He's the guy who's in Hercules, or like the buff vampire in Twilight. And he's like, yeah, dude, look, he's like, you could do this for 10 years and not make any money. So he's like, unless you love it, he's like, I wouldn't recommend it. I was like, all right. Got out of that. So then I left business, and I just wanted to be someone and become something. And I've always been that way.
That mindset, like waking up at 12 years old, going to the gym at 5 a.m. Do you think that is something that someone either innately has or they don't, or is that something you can be instilled?
No, I got bullied. That's why. Bullies actually are good for children. Like I'll say this, it's really bad as a kid. It probably messed me up in a lot of ways mentally, but that's why I have the drive I have, because even to this day, it's bad. I mean, I'll see someone and I have to work on it. I don't say it out loud, don't get me wrong, but I'll see someone and my brain is like, he's short, he's fat, because I was bullied ruthlessly. And so I look like my brain almost looks for what's weird about that guy. And that's why I'm like really fit. That's why I wanted to build a business, because what I noticed with the bullies was they'd make fun of me, but I'm better at sports than you. Like I was like I was a team captain or on the A team. We had A and B teams. Or I'm like, well, I got hotter girls than you. But it was almost like, it felt like it was the nail clincher. Like they go blah, 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 blah. I was like, but I'm on a better team than you. And it was like, kids were like, oh, And so I remember thinking, I was like, fuck these kids. I was like, I'm going to show you I'm going to be someone. And so there's good to that, but it's also bad because, I mean, part of why I'm driven is like, I'm trying to prove to people I am someone. I mean, deep down, it's insecurity. That's what it is, right? So I'm aware of it, but the people I think who are the most success, they believe they can do it, but they have crippling fear and insecurity. They're not good enough. So for example, and then I'll skip a beat. Sorry, you guys got me going.
No, come on now. Come on, let's go. That's like what we
YouTube.
Want.
So YouTube, I've got 25,000 subs. It's not very good, but I've posted 1,500 videos, which is pretty trash. That's about 10 a video. But I'm so driven that every time I get pissed off, I'm like, fuck this. I'm like, there's no way this fucking guy's, but like, I see someone who's doing good on YouTube. I saw the other day. It's like this little kid. His name's Jack, and he looks like he's still going through puberty. And I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just sitting there going, yo, what the fuck? And that is a thing I actually like about myself, because every time I'm about to quit or I say, I'm enough, there's just that voice. It's like you are who you say you are, right? And then it pushes me. And I think a lot of the successful friends I have, honestly, that's where it comes from. They'll say other stuff, but there's a crippling fear, insecurity that like they're not good enough and they want validation that they are. And so I'm not saying that's bad. Maybe I wish my brain worked differently, but that's just how my brain works, man.
How did, when you talked about your ayahuasca and all the different spirituality things, that's kind of what we've done it. We've done mushrooms, we've done ketamine. So we've done a couple of different like psychedelic modalities, but I'd be interested going through living in a very religious household to then, being more not religious, and then going through a spiritual experience when you are driven so intensely by, like, it's the chips. Like I talk about this all the time. It's like, why did I start a business? Well, it's because people told me I couldn't. I will sit here and look, and if I said something about our business and you looked at me and was like, I'm taking that one little,
Yeah, it's dark energy.
and I'm exactly.
Yeah.
So did you feel any conversion of like dark energy to light energy, or how did you manage that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that really set me off is growing up, I was a pretty good kid, straight A's, no drugs, no alcohol, no sex. I mean, I don't think I even had sex till I was 20. So, I mean, I'd say it's old. And I was like an athlete. I was a captain of the football team. So it's not like for lack of trying. But I remember my parents made me break up with my girlfriend at the time because they wanted me to go on a church mission because I was raised LDS. And that really set me off because ironically, she was a pretty good girl, so we weren't having sex. I've been with her for 2 years. Looking back, I'm pretty sure I was in love. Like I should say, I was because I thought maybe I was just young, right? Because I'm a self-aware, but I really loved her. And then after we broke up, she was like super ruthless to me. I don't know why. That still kind of bothered me. That probably affected some of my relationships, honestly, because I was like just mind fucked. I was like, how do we go from like this and in a week you're like hate me and you're talking to a new guy and my parents? But that really set me off the edge. So then I kind of went on the deep end for a bit, and that made me push away from religion because I'm thinking, man, if this is so good, like, why is it ruining my life? And I haven't done anything wrong. Like, parents were like, you got the best son, right? Because all their kids are doing drugs and drinking. Because I grew up in I'd say, like, more affluent suburb. We just had 7 kids, so it's like not as affluent.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just affluent suburb, so a lot of kids are doing drinking, doing drugs. So that set me a little bit on the deep end. When I got more into the ayahuasca stuff, I had a bad relationship, and I just made bad choices. And I had a lot of guilt and shame around that. I don't think I've ever seen someone that hurt before. And that really fucked with me because it was like the person I did it to is a really good person and she didn't deserve what I did. And I don't know, like it just set me down like a deep path. So because I was so desperate, I just felt so guilty and shameful that I was desperate to like figure out like, why did I do that? Am I really this bad of a person? Whatever. So I went and did ayahuasca and I did bufo and ibogaine. I did them way too close. Ibogaine I didn't like. Bufo was pretty crazy. I'm glad I did ayahuasca first. But yeah, as I went through it, I mean, I was a little scared at first because I've seen some people go crazy. You guys remember Connor Murphy? He's who I think about with ayahuasca and goes off the rocker. He was this huge fitness influencer, millions of views a month. And now you go look at his stuff, and to me, it's super weird. It's just,
I know, I don't know him specifically, but so many of those people, they're like,
they go off. Yeah, it's almost, it's, and to each their own. I'm not saying that's the wrong way to live. It's just, let's say you guys met me and I'm super disciplined, and then I come back and it's like my hair's long and my nails are long, and you're like, yo, what's up? I'm like, yeah, dude, like kumbaya. It's just, it's like that. Is that you? You know what I mean? So I did that, and I was a little against it at first because I think a lot of the mindset industry has a bad rap because the people usually leading it are not who I want to be. So I'd be like, they're like, yeah, do this. I'm like, you literally have nothing I want. Why would I do that? Right. Then I met a few high level guys and went to the ayahuasca retreat, met some like quote unquote normal people, whatever normal is. And for me, someone thinks I didn't take enough. One of the trips I took too much, in my opinion. And I couldn't open my eyes. I don't know how to describe it. It's like my eyes were like this and I knew I needed to open them, but I felt like I couldn't for about a half hour. I was super high. And I felt that was too much. Someone else told me like, oh, that's the good spot. I was like, it didn't feel like the good spot. I was genuinely scared. The ceremony I had the best, I took, they do these little vials, right? So they do these little vials and I took 2. And I just remember having really profound thoughts of like, what should I do with my life? That I should take care of my brothers. I remember thinking, and these weren't even thoughts I went in with. It was like, should I be a monk or have a business? I really left being sure that building businesses was the right move.
why?
I don't know, bro. Just because I think the thought was, as a monk, I can only help myself. With a business, I can help other people. Like I have money, I can hire staff, like they can help their families. I just felt that was the thought I had in my head, right? And I left that, and it was overall a positive experience for me. I went for a relationship issue, like I said. And I don't think it like quote unquote gave me the answer right then, but it did help a lot. And it was a positive experience for me. I would do it again if I had a objective. I wouldn't do it just to do it. It's pretty hard. I mean, I took 4 doses in a week, and they do it at 8 p.m. Right? I mean,
yeah.
So they do it at night. So it's hard on your body. I mean, by the time I was done, I was like, I don't want to do drugs ever again the rest of my life. But overall, it was a positive experience. And I guess when you said moving from dark to light, I don't know if all the dark energy is gone. I still use it to a degree, but I'm not doing stuff to compete against people. When I was on the come up, I would really get aggressive and against people. And I'm like, oh, he's been doing this for 10 years and I just started, or this guy said this about me, fuck him. And it was just it's like bullying shit, right? But I think I've put that phase behind me. I still use it to like push myself. But it's super pointless to try to compare yourself to other people, because when I had that party at my penthouse, that was the moment I was like, they're not even thinking about me, bro.
Yeah,
like they don't give a fuck what I do. And so if they don't give a fuck what I do, why am I trying to do shit to impress other people?
And you got to that mountaintop and had that realization. That's why we love this podcast, because what I would hope people would get out of this is not the fact that they should go do ayahuasca, but it's like you could hit a huge milestone, whatever that is for whoever's listening, like, and you can get to that mountaintop. And if you did not climb that ladder because you genuinely, like, in terms of the dark magic and light magic, if that wasn't, you know, connected to your purpose, that's not really what you wanted to do, but you did it in spite of somebody else, you get to that point where you're like, what the fuck did I do this for? Yeah. But in your case, you still got millions.
I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it. But it was more, I realized at that moment, it was more to prove people wrong, and that wasn't going to last me anymore. Because, I mean, after you've hit $1 million in a month, that already puts you in the top whatever. I mean, yeah, there's guys richer than me for sure, but it's like, for my age bracket, especially my age bracket, I mean, half the guys are making more like 65, right? It was just, it's pointless. So that really helped me, and I'm still driven because I think we need to work, we need to do stuff. I went on a 6-month sabbatical, and I never felt lower.
Did you feel crazy by the end of it? Like, did you?
Yeah, I didn't realize it.
What did your day-to-day look like on the sabbatical?
I woke up, I sat around, I went to the gym, I read a book, I'd sit around, I'd hang out with the girl, I'd sit around. I mean, it's not good to think about yourself all the time, but when you have nothing to do, all you're doing is thinking about yourself, right? That's why they say the happiest people are in service of others. I think it's not because, it may not even be because you're serving, it's because you can't think about yourself. Thinking about yourself doesn't make you happy. I also don't know if like happiness is my goal. Like I used to be super obsessed with being happy. And now when some days I wake up, I'm like, oh, I don't feel that good, or I didn't do this. I actually get more fulfillment. Like today I was really sick, right? So I remember thinking, oh, maybe I'll just move stuff. Part of what I've been trying to do is like, I call it my document. Some people call it affirmations. I call it document. But like, one of the things I say is, I always keep my commitments, right? Meaning like, even if I have like blood coming out of my head, like I'm going to show up. And so I actually like that more than anything now, because if you think about the person you're going to become, I don't think your circumstances change or you feel differently. I think you just act differently. I used to think that, oh, maybe one day I won't get upset when someone does some dumb shit. I don't think that's true. I think they just do the dumb shit and you're like, all right, like this is how I usually handle it. Let me handle it this way.
It's your reaction.
Yeah, it's your reaction. Right?
Based off your identity of yourself.
Right. And so that's why, I mean, it took me a long time to understand, but one of the coaches I worked with, he's super rich. And I remember him just breaking it down for me. He says, look, the way you change your life is you change your thoughts. You change your thoughts, you change what you say, you change what you say, you change your actions give you results. And I was like, that sounds fucking retarded. Right? And I'm like really blunt. You guys know me. So I literally was like, that sounds fucking retarded. I was like, you're telling me it's that easy? He's like, yeah. So he gave me an example where he said, he was out of prison and he had his phone like this, right? And he was FaceTiming. You can't hear that well. He's an older guy. And the prisoner thought he was filming him and he's cussing him out, but he can't hear and he can't see. He's an older guy. He's cool as fuck though. And the prisoner threw a rock on his windshield, probably a $250,000 car. And so he was like, look, what would most people do? I'm like, yo, fuck that guy. I was like, I'd fuck him up. I'd say, fuck you, whatever. And he's like, yeah, but what did I do? I went over and said, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was filming you. I super apologize. Let me come in and like spend some time with you. So ridiculously out there to the point where you'd see someone do it and go, oh, what the fuck is he on? And the reason he says he does that is he says every day he has what he calls his document. He says it morning and night. And so when you get in tough situations, he's like, I think of those thoughts, so I act differently. And I was like, that fucking is the most logical thing I've ever heard, but it's so fucking simple. People won't do it or no one talks about it. Most of the time I've done mindset stuff, they're just doing this woo-woo bullshit. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? What is this stuff? So since I've been trying to do that, this was probably a year ago, it changed my life. And I'm not perfect, but for example, I would have a lot of issues with my girlfriend, and she's amazing. Like, I don't want to say she's perfect, but like she's top, like she's an A-class. Like she's any guy would love to be with her type girl. And I would have issues with her, and it was like, yo, what the fuck? Why do I keep having issues with her? It's like, I know what I'm doing, but I can't stop myself. And so one of the things I started saying was, I'm the world's best boyfriend. Like I would say that. And so whenever I get pissed off or she'd do something, I'd be like, yo, fuck, I'm like, what would the world's best boyfriend do? You know, like I'm saying it to myself, and it would catch me. But what was crazy is people, like, life's a mirror, it's not a window. And so she would mirror me. And I was like, that's what he means by creating your reality. Like, someone can punch you in the face, and what most people do is we react. We're not thinking, so it's a reaction. But if you think about how you're going to act beforehand, that's when your life changes. That was crazy to me, because all of a sudden she's like, wow, Tanner's been like so amazing lately. And like her narrative's changing with her friends. And like, I see, like, I like being around her more. And so I think a lot of times people, they think other people need to change, but you have to create it. Like, they're like, I want more love from people. It's like, you have to give love, bro. You have to like show love. That's how it comes back to you. But if you just expect people to give it to you, it's not going to happen. Anyways, that was a whole thing for me. And I didn't understand it because I was so busy building my businesses and just reacting. And that was, I don't know, it was one of the like bigger changers or drivers in my life. It was like very eye-opening for me. It's
interesting because when I see a situation like that, have you read Psycho Cybernetics? Yeah, one of my favorite books. I'm rereading it right now. But it goes back to this identity, and then it goes back to the reaction aspect of it. We live... I actually, before I get there, I want to get your take on visualization based on how the book describes it. Do you spend time picturing, like, do you visualize a podcast and how it goes and how, like, explain?
Sometimes, like for example, I didn't show up here and I visualize it, but I think with my document, and then I also have, you call it a vision board. It's kind of on Notion, and like I have pictures there, and I'll look at that occasionally, and that helps you change your actions, right? Because if you're actually going to be that person, you have to do things differently. That's the key with it. Like, I think there's a million ways to do it, but the point of doing those things is it should change your actions. So yesterday, for example, when I got home, one of the things I write is, I'm gonna paraphrase it. Like, I read it every day, but I don't have it memorized yet. That's my next goal, is like just memorize it. Steve has it memorized. It's actually pretty insane. It's like 5 minutes too. But one of the things I say is I take care of myself physically, mentally, and emotionally. I know a strong body creates a strong mind. I know a strong mind creates a strong something. I forget the last part. But anyways, like last night I ate like an asshole. And I woke up this morning, I was like, you know what, bro? Like doing that wasn't, it's not like I can't do it. I mean, I'm still shredded, et cetera. But it's like, that wasn't really in alignment with who I'm trying to be. And I didn't plan it. Like, if I plan a cheat meal or something, but I just was being an asshole, right? And I don't know, it's not bad per se, but I kind of wake up, you kind of feel kind of dirty. You kind of feel like you little, you're kind of like this little glutton. And like there's just that feeling, you shouldn't eat like that or something. And that's really how it's like changed for me, is like those thoughts, those words really come to my mind. And when right before we came over here, another great example is my building just let me have an event there for 2 days. Now they say I can't do it. So my initial thought was like, fuck you guys, what the fuck? I just had it. But Steve, that coach I was telling you about, he told me examples where people would tell him no, and he just wouldn't take no for an answer, and he would like create his outcome. So I literally texted him, I was like, bro, like, what can I say here to get them to change their mind? Because they're like, nope, it's 100% off limits. The board just voted, can't change anything. They're like texting me, and I'm thinking, dude, there's like, I'm not gonna, because in the past, I'd be like, oh, whatever. But part of what he teaches and talks about is like, dude, like, he's like, that doesn't mean shit. He's like, you just got to get them to see the world the way you see it, and they'll let you do it or something. So anyways, that might be a little out there.
No,
that's yeah, it'll start to change your life if you think that way. And the thing that I'm proud of is when I notice myself thinking that way, because it's different, right? And I'm like, damn, that's a start. Like, that's a positive direction of becoming a better person, where I think differently than I did before.
Yeah, I think what you said about the thoughts, that clicked for me recently, because I think you can't, there's this idea of fake it till you make it. And I never accepted that, because I was always like, I don't feel like you should ever try to be something that you're not. Yeah. But when it's not necessarily dressing a certain way that's going to get you the deal or going to get you the money that you're looking for, driving the whip or whatever, but it's the way that somebody who has the whip, has the cars, thinks. How does that person think?
You're not faking it, you're becoming it. It's like you're creating it, you're changing. And it's hard, but if you were a rich billionaire and you think rich billionaires should wear suits, it would make sense you start wearing suits. You wouldn't wait till you're a billionaire. It's like, become the billionaire now, right? It took me a lot, by the way, for anyone listening, it took me about 10 sessions to wrap my head around this. So if you're thinking, this is complete horseshit, I totally can relate. I would go back to see, like, this sounds like a bunch of horseshit, man. But I started doing it, and it started working, because I would notice my thoughts would change. When my thoughts changed, my actions would change, and then I get a different result. I was like, oh shit, like it works. And we're influenced all day by other people. What you guys say will go in my head TV, music, etc. So I'm not saying, I think really you have to have your own document or thing you live by, because otherwise you just get influenced by the world. And most of the world is a mess, man. Like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't even know that this is a thing. Yeah. So you go in a car and like, oh, fucking Donald Trump sucks, thought, right? Or you're like, oh, fucking Miami sucks. There's no one here who wants serious relationships, thought. And it's like, and then you just create that shit. You go in a room and you're like, oh, these fucking guys suck, or all these girls fucking, I've seen people do that. And I'm thinking, like, what is that gonna do? Anyways,
last time we were on the pod, you were talking about your girlfriend. Are you guys back together?
We're not right now. We'll see, man. I did get a little more clarity since we spoke last. Maybe I can share that, and hopefully it'll help some rich, affluent guys out there, because it's been a fucking battle for me, man. So, I grew up LDS or Mormon, so just for context, this is about as conservative as you can get, right? One girl, one woman. My mom, bless her heart, I mean, she probably doesn't even know half the stuff you can do, Like, she's a saint, dude. She's a saint. So, love you, Mom. But she sees us, I love her. But, as I made more money and became successful, I'd start seeing different ways of living life. And so I thought, you could have 10 girlfriends, or you could have 2 girlfriends, or, you can just play the field, or, and when you're not holding on to religion, it's kind of open, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of choose whatever you want.
Gets creative.
A lot of people with religion, that's kind of their anchor. I'm not against religion. I never prescribe to, if you do these things, you're saved. If you don't, you don't. Because to me, that didn't sit well. Like, I'm like, so if I'm born in Africa and I don't hear the word, I'm fucked. Like that, I'm like that. If that's how God is for me personally, that's not for me. Some people get offended by that, but that's just how I feel. So, I didn't know this was a thing, but I guess some of my buddies told me. But when I came to Miami, open relationships is like a big thing out here. I didn't realize that. It's like I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I feel like it's very common out here. So, in fact, I think some people move here for that.
Open relationships?
I think so. I mean, I had a buddy move here for that way back. That might just be me, right? So you guys can't relate at all.
I don't know.
That's at least what one of my buddies said. So as an affluent male, I think I struggle with that, because I would date girls and I get bored. And so I was like, oh, maybe I don't love her, or maybe this. And then after a while, I start looking into science, and it's like, well, yeah, your dopamine resets, and that's how relationships are. Like, it's not going to be, it's like the house. It's not going to be day one every day. So then I started thinking, okay, well, that sounds kind of miserable. So how can I get around that, or whatever? And so that's what caused a lot of rifts in my relationship, because the girl I'm with does not want to do that. And I don't even know if it was the right decision. I just like, look, this is something I'm feeling. I want to explore it, whatever. And it's also like hard to talk about, as you guys can imagine, because you get judged, right? Like, in that, I guess I like to be honest, but it's like, it's very taboo. Right? It's not something most people want you to say or talk about. I usually don't talk about it, to be frankly. This is like the first time I've talked about it. So, but I think I was asking the wrong question, and this came to me last week, but I think maybe why I felt that way was I didn't feel the value exchange was equal. There's a book I read called The Value of Others. You guys should read it. It's by a great psychologist, Dr. Orion Terabon. And the funny part about the book is it basically, in short, I'll just like summarize, is he says you have sexual marketplace value, SMV, okay? So he's like, when the exchange is equal, a relationship occurs. It could be different. So it's like, you might have a really old, ugly guy, but he has hella money. And then you have a really young girl, and like, it's an equal value exchange. Or you have like a Layla and Alex, where it's like very equal, right? They're both like driving or whatever. So anyways, the point I was trying to make is for probably 2 years, man, I was talking to everyone and their mom about it. I was like, should I do this? Should I be single? Should I be open? Should I be in a marriage? And I would get guys who would say, oh, I just cheat. And I was like, thank you for that, right? I don't want to do that. But they'd say they just cheat. Or they'd say, oh yeah, dude, just have a bunch of girls. Or guys were like, just deal with it. And I like, when I heard that, I was like, that all sounds like shit. Like, that's like, I'm like, why am I getting married? I'm like, I can lose half my shit. She gets a big expensive ring and house. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So, that's where some red pill guys will go. I think that was the wrong question. I think now my mindset was, it just wasn't equal value. And I didn't know that. I thought, because think about it this way. If your wife was helping you build your business, maybe she's like your number 2 and she's fucking grinding with you day in and day out. Dude, that is to me, that's way more valuable than a girl who she's like, how's work? Like that, like, and most guys are different. I think I'm a little different, but to me, I think what would happen is I would get in relationships not knowing this. I'd get bored, or I'd be like, man, like, is this it? Is this it for the rest of my life? Like that thought that I had with engineering. And then I just realized, like, I don't think we just had an equal value exchange. Like if I'm paying for everything, for example, or I'm giving you a ring, I'm a guy, so like marriage to me, I just don't like, I'm like, we could be married or not, like it doesn't change my life. Right? I think a lot of people think it changed their life. It really does not.
No.
Kids, I'm like, I don't really want kids yet. I want them in the future. So I just think what happened is the scale got way out of balance. And so in my head, I go, well, shit, if you're going to get all this, the only thing left for me to do is like, I have to have multiple
optionality. Yeah.
And so now I think that was the wrong question. I'm like, you know, am I open or am I monogamous or whatever? And dude, I really beat myself up for it because you can imagine my background. It doesn't sit well with people. Like,
no.
I would, you know, I'd be like, am I a fucking terrible person? Right? Like, why can't I be happy with the girl I'm with? But I think the answer that came to me was, it's an unequal balance exchange in my eyes. Meaning, if a girl wants me to just take care of her and pay for everything, and then I get to just be with her forever, I'm like, that like sounds terrible. It's like, that's kind of what I can do right now. You know what I mean? But I think if a girl was in it with me, in it meaning like she's helping me build, like she's helping me grow. She wants to explore. She wants to explore, meaning like she wants to go to ayahuasca retreats, or she wants to learn how to shoot a gun or learn a language. Like I find that very attractive. And I think that would be enough for me to commit. Right. So that took me that literally took me 2 years plus to figure out, and it really fucked me up, but that's kind of where I'm at with it now.
We had a dinner one night that changed my life in terms of how I thought about this stuff, because I had a mentor who sold his business for $50 million, and we sat down one night and we were talking about, I told him, I was like, hey, I'm getting engaged, man. Like, this is super exciting.
He's like, don't do it.
That was verbatim.
That's actually terrible. That's
not
terrible.
Only did he say, don't do it, he gave me a couple of different points. He said, first off, if you do it, you're never going to get to the level of success that you believe that you deserved because you had this person with you. How old were you? This is 7-8 months ago.
Yeah.
At this point.
So recent.
Yeah, super recent. And he went down this list of, you know, he explained the thing of when you go out in business and you accomplish and you have the best, most kick-ass day ever and you feel like a world beater. Then you walk in the door and the trash isn't taken out because you didn't take it out the morning before. Yeah. And the first thing
was like,
why the hell didn't you take out the trash? And he explained this idea to me. I'm sitting there talking to Ryan. I'm like, I don't really know if I'm going to do this. Honestly, I don't know if this is what I want. And it took me having to go home, had dinner with my fiance the next night. And I just said, hey, here's the list of every reason why so-and-so doesn't think we're going to make it. What's your thoughts? Like, how are you going to find your own self-worth with not being a part of the day-to-day business? Right. How are you going to X, Y, and Z? Right. And it was this really hard conversation. But one of the points that came up is he was talking about the open relationship thing. He's like, there's going to be a day when you're going to have all the money in the world and you want to fly down to Costa Rica, and there's going to be girls that you never thought you'd be able to get with that are throwing themselves at you because you have this status, you have this wealth. And I sat there and I asked her, I was like, how does this work? And she goes, if we get into a point of our relationship where you are that sexually frustrated that I cannot like help you in that way, like we made a bunch of mistakes. It was the whole point of the conversation was I confronted it head on, and it actually was where a lot of the growth came.
Yeah.
But it when you talked about on Jeremy's podcast, how like you don't really trust the people you talk to when it comes to relationships.
Yeah, like dude, here's the thing too. She says that. She just said, like, they say that. Like, yeah, wait till you're 3 years in and she's got the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, like girls can say no and then they say yes, and then they say yes and they say no. So the thing is, it's not a sure thing either way.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I realized though is I go, it's a value exchange. So meaning, if you guys came to me and said, Tanner, you know, you're the only vendor we want to work with or something, and I'm making, let's say, $100,000 a month, I'm like, no. So $100,000 a month. But if you're making me $3 billion a month, I'd be like, sure. It's a value exchange, right? So I think the question I was asking, and this might be good for you to think about, you should read that book, is I think I was like, my question is like, am I monogamous or am I open? Right? Like as if it was like this binary thing.
Yeah.
I think the right question is like, what's it going to take for me to commit to one girl? And that is the real question. Because there is something for everyone. So I think the issue I was having is, one, I didn't know that was, I thought it was, I was like, who am I as a person? I don't even think that's the thing. It's like, what would it take? And so two, I think if I got more clear on what it would take, then that makes it clear for me to know, hey, I can be with this girl that wants that, right? Or B, I need to be with a girl who's open to that or whatever. But like, to be frank with you, once I came to that realization, I started going on dates, and I was, dude, I remember thinking, I go, there's no way I would commit to this girl, like on the date. Not in a bad way. I just like, there's no way I'd commit to this girl. So I was like, the only way I'd be in a relationship with her is if she let me do that, because I would never, like, I already knew in my head. So then it was like, well, if I know that with her, then that means there might be a girl out there who I would do it with. So I think instead of me looking for something, like now I'm like, oh, like, you know, you get on the second date and you're like, by the way, you know.
You open to this?
Yeah, by the way, don't bring it up on the first day. If you do bring it up, say it in a tactful way. But I think that gave me a lot of insight where I was like, fuck, that was the right question. The question is, what would it take? And then you get clear with that. And then if that's what you want, that's great. I think for me, I'm a different guy. I think most guys are happy. Like, I saw this reel the other day, man, and you guys probably know him, so I'm not going to say his name. But his girlfriend put up a reel that was like, you know, girlfriend duty rules, right? It was like, number 1, can't work. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, number 2, can't have guy friends, which, like, I get that, but I was like, okay. It's like, number 3, what was it? Have to work out. And I'm like, all right. And then it just like kept going. I'm thinking, bro, like, why would you want that?
Yeah.
In my mind, right? But I think average guys do want that. I think they just want like a girl who gives them emotional support and takes care of them. I think for me, I'm a little different, where I'm in the 20% of guys where, like Alex and Layla, like I think I want more of that. I'm not saying it has to be Layla where she's literally driving the company, but I think, you know, it's like, I don't want to feel, I think what happened was I would get up, I'd work out, I'm in great shape, I'd work all day on the business. And then it was like, okay, now it's time to give my girlfriend time. And it didn't feel good. Like I was like, oh, it's another fucking chore, right? Or, you know, they want sex X amount of times a week. And again, I'm not saying that's bad, but when you work as much as I do, sometimes you're like, you don't really want to do that shit. So I think that was the right question. So maybe for you, instead of that thought he gave you, I think that's the wrong thing. I think every guy could be monogamous or every guy could be open. Honestly, I just think, is the girl worth it? Because if you're single and a girl's like, I don't want you to see other girls, you'd be like, if she's not worth it, you'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Right? So what would it take? And I think that makes sense. Now, the question some people have is, could you find a girl like that who would allow it and she's high level? I'm sure they're out there, because my logical brain is there's 8 billion people, but usually so far, I can only speak on my experience. Usually the guys I've seen who are doing that, the girls I'm not too impressed with personally. And that's kind of been the debate I've had, but I don't think it really matters. I think what matters is what would it take for you? And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. It's your fucking life. And I think I was asking all these people, there's guys in Miami who were doing it, and I'd ask them, and I just realized, I was like, it doesn't matter. It's like, what would it take for me to do that? And if I'm not willing to do that, then I need to let the girl go, or I need to be clear about what I need to do that.
Do you think it's harder to find that value exchange in a place like Miami, where it's like almost expected, where like the girl's not working, you're taking them out, you're paying for everything?
I don't know, man. Like I've been on and off for 5 years, so I haven't really dated around here. I think that's on average normal, but I don't really give a fuck. I look at dating as data points. My perception of dating is like, I'll go on a date to see what the girl's like and see what I like and dislike. And then you narrow that down and you can find a different girl. I'm not like in a place right now where I'm trying to lock someone down. I don't know. We'll have to cut this from the podcast possibly, because it could mess up my life. But you guys remember the last podcast where we were talking kind of about the number game? Dude, this shit is fucking fire for me. Like, it just, you know, someone reaches out, gets the number, sends me the number. I take it from there.
I've been trying to tell Mike to get on that game. I've been telling him.
I don't waste any time.
So like, you have someone on your team just mess.
People haven't listened to the pod. Can we? So this is if you are listening to this, dude, and you are single,
like, I feel like a girl hears this, she's like, this guy's a total douchebag, but whatever.
No, this was my favorite thing that you said.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
So like, the worst thing about dating, in my opinion, is setting up the date. You have to think a typical. Like I would say the girls I go after typically are very attractive. So more attractive girls, as we know, get a lot of guys, which means they have lots of options. So we don't, you know, it's going to take usually higher volume, or you're going to have to, you know, like you got to be Drake or something. It's usually going to be super high status, or it's volume, right? So I don't want to waste my time on that, because I want to build my businesses, but I do want to go on the dates. So what I do is I just get a VA who's good, pay him like $250 a week. And I say, hey, you know, go get these numbers. They know the type of profile I want. They'll get the number, whether it's Instagram or Hinge or, you know, whatever. They send me the number. I'll text them. I set up a quick FaceTime, 5-10 minutes. That's don't do this texting back and forth shit. Just immediately like, yo, when can I FaceTime you? Make sure they're not like an old dude and they got a good personality. schedule the date, go on the date, and you're in. And that's it. And the FaceTime makes a huge difference because most guys won't do it. And it goes from wasting all your time all day and looking at a screen, which I hate, you know, like your eyes start to hurt.
Yep.
And I just get the number, I hit them up, and I'm done. And so I think like in the last, I've been single for, I don't know, a month. Dude, I must have gone at least like 15, 17 dates. But it's like, but it's not like,
grind,
it's not,
no.
But
That's
it's
another job though.
No, but it's not, because what I do is like I go through my whole day, 5 a.m. to like 6:30, and then I'll fit them in that slot. And I'm like, hey, it's a 1 to 2 hour day. Bro, I'm just a efficient motherfucker.
No, it's so it's
And then if it's great, I'll move forward. If it's not, I won't. And I've already gotten a lot of data points. Like if the girl, I would say right now, if the girl's above 28, I shouldn't do it. They're like, want kids right now. I mean, they're like literally like, let's get married, let's have kids. I'm like, bro, that's not for me. If they're too young, there's nothing to talk about. Like, I'm 22. It's like, great, like enjoy.
Great.
I think for me, like, anyway, so for me, I just try to have fun with it. I try to treat it as a game. The objective for me also is, it's just be normal. Like, don't go in there just trying to sleep with every girl. Be a fucking gentleman. Be nice. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, like, learn from it. I think some guy, like, you know what girls are looking for, so just do the opposite. Like, don't be a dick. Be nice. Be a gentleman. Pay for her dinner. Like, FaceTime her. Like, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's not hard. It's just business.
I think it's so funny because like most people are scared to even do that once to one girl in fear of just like, she's not gonna like me, she's not gonna answer, whatever. This guy has a whole team of people who just fucking
yeah, but also like, it's like, if the girl's not into it, I'll be like, but like, why are you not into it? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like the creation. You just create, like, the girls love confidence. So I just go and I'm like, yeah, like, why wouldn't you want to go on a date? I remember one girl, she's like, I don't know this, and I was like, man, we don't have to go on a date, but like, I mean, I know you want to go on the date, so why don't we just do it? I just think it's a confidence thing. Most guys, they don't build any confidence. The way you build confidence is you become a guy they'd want to be like. So I'd say on average, like, I'm a 5 out of 10. It's good. It's 5 out of 10 on the, factor scale. I work out, I make money. I mean, it's just normal shit. It's not like complex.
Yeah. When you think of being this is red pill, but like when you think of being a high value man, because there's going to be some people that are listening that are being like Mike is talking about, I can't even put out that shot because I don't have an image of myself that I actually genuinely believe is something worthy of actually getting. Do you think what is the most important factor to fix first? Fitness or money?
Fitness. I would. Fitness. Because fitness like has money making habits. That book, the best book I've ever read on the subject was called The Value of Others. And he's like, love is bullshit. He's like, it is a literal value exchange. It makes sense. Like, if you guys think about the girls you were with, like your fiance, your ex-fiance, dude, there's no way you didn't find her valuable. It was like, why were you with her? Oh, dude, she does this and other girls don't do this. It's a value exchange.
It is.
We call it love. Now, I think there is some love to it, meaning you start caring about that other person maybe more than yourself. But at the end of the day, that's why I think relationships fizzle out, because the value exchange is not equal. And that was eye-opening to me, because I'm going, why, like, what is my, like, I thought maybe I had like a commitment issue. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And then I'm thinking, well, it's a fucking great deal if you're the girl. Like, I make shit tons of money. I'm tall. I go to the gym. I don't party. And I was saying, and then they do what? And I'm not saying this in a negative way. Like, I don't want people to think I'm like, oh, you stay at home. But just for me, I was like, so for you staying at home and me paying for everything, I get to be with you for the rest of my life and have kids that I don't want in a marriage I'm not like, I was like, that's a shitty trait. I wouldn't take that. I think that's all it was. And so everyone's different. I think the average guy does want a girl like that. I don't, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I've always really liked the teammate frame versus the cheerleader. And I'm just like, it doesn't motivate me. I'm like, thanks. Like, I just had the worst day ever and you had the best day ever. Like, I want to feel like someone's in it with me. It's
fun when you say that, because people ask me, why am I 25 years old getting married?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty simple with it. Yeah. I found somebody at 19 that I met who has been with me when I was nobody. Yeah. Like, actually nobody.
Grew with you.
And grew with me.
Yeah.
That right there, value exchange wise, like and this is what you're talking about, it just being different for everybody. Yeah. That is something that is
to you, it's invaluable.
Exactly. So for me, 25 years old.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I started making money around 25, and like, the girl I've been dating mostly, I dated her around 27. So I'd already started making it. And don't get me wrong, like, I wouldn't say these things if I didn't find her valuable. I wouldn't go on a 2-year fucking journey and take drugs and psychedelics and pay. I mean, bro, that, like, sometimes I'm like, do you know what I went through? Because how much I want to be with you and make this shit work? Like, I'm like, I've only spent, $300,000 and, like, read 65 books and paid for 64 therapists. Cause like I genuinely wanted to figure it out and feel at peace with it. And I think what I just realized was the conversation will have to be, we haven't had it, but the conversation would just have to be, I need to figure out what an equal exchange would be and present that. And if she says great, great. And if she doesn't, that's okay. Instead of all this, I'm like, well, what if I change my mind? What if this? It's like, I don't think that happens if the value exchange is high enough. I think what a lot of guys do is they make premature decisions. They get older, and people change too. People change. Like what I cared about 5 years ago, I didn't care about now. And I don't know. The only other thing I'll say is it's tough. I feel bad for guys because it's just it's hard to talk about. Like what we're talking about right now, it gets judged pretty hard. And I'm not saying it's the right answer. I think that's one thing I want to be clear about. I'm not saying like, you should have 7 girlfriends and all this shit. I just think it's like, if you look at, like, we'll just use Andrew Tate because he's an easy person. Like those girls are not bringing equal value to him, in my opinion. Like I don't know him, I haven't talked to him, but like he just views them as like, you're gonna make my babies and that's it, and don't bother me. I feel like his equal is like Tristan.
Yeah.
I feel like his girlfriend is Tristan. Yeah. That's his partner, right? So for us, it's like we either need to find someone who we bring equal value, and for that could be different. Like if I'm 37 and I want kids, then that is now equal value. But if I'm 32 and I don't want kids yet, it's not equal value, right? And I think that book really opened my mind where he's like, his name's Ryan Tannenbaum, and he's like, dude, like, you're just like, you think like you have something wrong with you and all this. It's like, you just don't feel that it's an equal exchange. And because it's not an equal exchange, you have doubts about it or you have fears. And that to me, when I went through that, I was like, bro, that is 100% accurate.
So on that same thread of relationships, I want to talk about friends because you had this conversation with Jeremy that I thought was interesting. You don't have a ton of friends.
I just dropped a bunch too.
So explain how you view friendships with other guys, and do you believe it's harder now than it ever has been to actually find, especially at your level?
Yes and no. I mean, I think, the saying, one good friend's better than, 5 average friends. I have a couple like solid friends that I really try to invest in the relationship. And I notice because I think about them. Like I want to make sure that they know I'm on they're top of mind. A friend group like I just kind of got rid of recently. It's just dumb. Like they either post like dumb shit or they just talk about the girls they hooked up with. And I just don't give a fuck. Like I'm 32 years old, bro. Like great. Like sleep with a girl if you like her. Don't if you don't. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like it, you know what I mean? It's just, I feel like it's high school shit. So I like high level conversations. I like stimulation. I like people moving and driving. I like to learn. So there's a few guys in Miami, but at the same time, I'm building my businesses. So, and they got girlfriends too. So I think ultimately as we get older, that's why we're with our partner more than anyone else. Cause we have our own lives and we have our own families and it only gets more complex. I just don't care that much. I guess you could say, like if a guy hits me up and I genuinely enjoy him, I'll make an effort, but I'm not outside of work, man. Usually I would prefer to like go on a date with the girl than hang out with the guys, unless the guy is really just like fire. Like there's a few of my friends where I would I'll hang out with them over a girl, but they're just, to me, like super successful, super intellectual. I learn from them. I want to be more like them. It's just a different frame. If I have people who are trying to learn from me, it's not bad, but it's just a different frame. It's like, yeah, dude, like, we can hang out every once in a while. Like it's not, again, it sounds bad. And I'm not trying to make everything about life transactional. I think like you should help some people just because and try to be a good person. But if we're all being honest, it's easier to be friends with people where you find you get value from. It's easier to be with girls you get value from. Like the reason you got commitment issues or no friends is you don't think they're valuable. You don't think it's worth your time. And that's as simple as that. And I used to judge myself really hard. I really did. I thought I was a piece of shit. I really was like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I be a better person or better friend? Or then I just realized I was like, because it's 100-0.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in like a egotistical way. It's just, if I view the relationship as 100-0, then why? There's no benefit for me. It's only benefit for you.
And usually those people are, I think I had a conversation with the guy who is going through like something similar in the fact that he's just like, I don't know who to trust in a lot of cases, because most people, especially friends or guy friends or whatever, everybody's looking for an angle. And like, it's okay that that's present, that's real. But if it's a constant, like we have a kid that calls us 4 times a week and he just calls us. Why is he calling us? Because he wants something from us. So every time his phone pops up on my screen, I'm just like, boom. All right, I'm done with you, because all it is, it's just, it's not even, he can't even act interested in what I like. Oh, how are you? Like, That's a sentence right before he tells you everything that's going on in his life.
Sure.
So I'd be interested to know from your perspective, do you think when you coach so many people, do you think their friend group in some cases keeps them poor?
Yeah. Dude, it's 100% environment, of course. It's 100% environment. I mean, to be honest, like think about what I said earlier. Like I moved to Miami and then I thought about open relationships. Why? Because it's more common here than when I was in Houston. Environment matters a lot. So if you don't want to think a certain way, you can remove yourself from that environment, right? Yeah, like that's kind of why I dropped one of my friend groups, because as on the way up, I really didn't have a friend group. And then I kind of, started making money. People know who I am. They want to hang out. And then I just realized like, bro, it's just the same bullshit. And they don't want to grow. Like usually the comment I get from people is, oh, you work too much or this or that. And I'm like, dude, like, I just don't care about going out with like 500 girls every single day. Now, granted, like I told you guys I'm dating, but like I'm literally intentional on the dates where I'm like, it's like a science, I shouldn't say science experiment, sounds bad, but like I'm actually trying to learn. Yeah. Like I want to see what is, like what are the commonalities I'm seeing that I like or I dislike. And so it doesn't matter if I get laid or not. That's not my objective. My objective is like, go have a good time and learn something from it. So yeah, to your question, yes, like 100%, because those thoughts become your beliefs. And so if you want to believe something else, it starts with your words and it starts with what you think. And the only way to change that is you usually have to change your environment 100%.
How did you break off the friend group?
I just stopped responding.
Ghost.
Yeah, it's just like, there's no point. Like, what are you going to say? Like, yeah, guys, like, I don't think you're doing something valuable with your life. I'm going to fucking not be your friend. Like, you just basically stop responding. And I think they get the hint. I think that's the best way. Like, because I think about what value am I going to get from like making a public statement to them or something. I think it's just kind of douchey. So to me, it was just like, I just stepped away. We had like a chat thing. I got out of the chat and I'm ready to move on. And like, it's just like, I guess I just want other shit for my life. I want to do other things. I don't want to talk about the same shit for 10 years. And like, I just don't care about girls. Like if you're talking to girls, like, bro, I took this girl on a date, it was super dope or whatever, cool. But if it's just like, you're putting screenshots of fucking memes and hot girls, I'm just like, bro, like who cares? Like,
what conversations do you feel like is the most stimulating? Like what conversations do you enjoy having the most?
I mean, it's business, bro. I mean, so like the guy who's like clearly ahead of me right now that I admire is Alex, right? 100%. Like I get very stimulated from our conversations. He's doing big shit. I think he's going to keep doing big shit. He is who he says he is. I respect him because he is who he portrays. Like how he is on social media is how he is in person. That's what I hope to try to emulate. I hope people, if they see me, they think I'm the same. Sometimes actually I'll get more of like, they think I'm nicer or like more relaxed, which I'm like, fuck, well, maybe I need to like stop like being such a dick on content or something. I'm not trying to, but I mean, he's doing big shit, man. So when I talk to him, it's like super similar. I went to Africa one time and Russell Brunson was there. I got to talk to him for 5 hours and just talk business. And it's like, they're just coming from like so much experience and doing cool stuff. I love that shit. And I just like people who want to grow. Like it doesn't even have to be business. It's just, I don't relate with people who kind of, and I wish I did sometimes, but I just don't relate when they're like, yeah, I got to here and I'm good. And I don't want to, I'm just like, bro, like I'm going to live for another 50 years. Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to just like retire right now and just like live on all the money I've made and do nothing? I mean, what am I going to do?
What parts of, I think it's funny because a lot of the people that it's younger entrepreneurs, younger builders, younger high performers, the productivity rain dance.
The productivity rain dance?
The cold plunging,
I haven't seen the productivity rain dance. I hope I don't see that.
Right. You have a routine. What is your productivity range?
I just get up and go to the gym. I do have a cold plunge and a sauna, but I do it because it just makes me feel good, right? Like I honestly, after I do it, I'm like, do I feel better or not? I don't need science to tell me it's beneficial, right? Maybe it's not as beneficial as, someone touts, but I just feel better. It's like going to the gym. I don't go to the gym like, fuck, I feel terrible, like I don't need science to tell me that. So it's really just get up, go to the gym. Actually, before I go to the gym, I'll read my document, go to the gym, come back, work all day, chill. If I have time, like after this, I actually have something else I have to get to, but chill. And then I'll read my document and go to sleep. And then, here and there I'll travel or I'll go to dinner or whatever. But I mean, dude, I just enjoy like doing stuff and growing, and that takes effort and work and consistency, like building like my YouTube, for example. I've been on and off and stuff, but I'll hit 100K subscribers eventually. I don't know when. I posted 1,500 videos. I'm not going to quit now. I mean,
Yeah.
like how many people have posted 1,500 videos? Like that's just my mentality. I'm okay to suck. I'm okay not to be the best. I'm okay if I lose. I just want to be the best I can be. And I want to look back at my life. And the only way to do that is you look back at your life and you actually became someone you admire. Like, you don't admire yourself when you're being a lazy piece of shit. You admire yourself when you do hard things. So to me, it's like, why would I not do hard shit? Why would I, like, every time it's hard, it's like, oh, it's too fucking hard, right? And I think there needs to be stuff you enjoy. For example, that doesn't mean, hey, it's hard to be in a relationship for 50 years, so get into it. Like, I'm not saying that, but there's value in that. Like, do you think you could learn stuff being in a relationship for 50 years? Yeah, I really do. I want to be in it, but like, I want to grow. Like, I want to build my social media. I want to build businesses. I want to have people respect me and build teams. And I don't know, man, like it doesn't excite me to just, you know, sit around and be content with what I have. Like I'm satisfied, but like I want to push myself.
Kind of going off the environment, like when we come out here, like the one thing I always notice hits me every time is like, there is so much money out there. Like there's so much money out there to be made.
Of course.
But we're based in Naples right now. We come out like once a month.
Nice.
There's like a trade-off where it's like, do you come over here and spend all this money to be in Miami, to be in the city, to then with the idea of you're going to make more money because there's more money here? What do you think that trade-off is? Is it worth it for a business to just send it over to Miami or do you got to build?
I mean, bro, I can see it both ways. Like, you know, my thing was I didn't make a lot of money. So I moved home to my parents' house, paid $1,000 a month. They live in the suburbs in Houston. So it's like bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah.
And I fucking grinded and I had no distractions. There were no hot girls. I mean, it was a wasteland, bro. So I can see that perspective. And usually I would say that just because there's no pressure. Now, with that being said, if you moved here and there's pressure, that can be good to an extent, but like, for example, like there was a time I wasn't talking to my parents because of the girlfriend thing. So I was going to school, because I was no longer on scholarship because I wasn't an athlete anymore. I was going to school, paying for school, and had a full-time job, and I'm doing fucking petroleum engineering. It's probably one of the hardest 4-year degrees. Dude, I was so stressed out that it got to the point where like I wasn't talking to them for 2 years. And I reached out because I was that desperate. Like I just like mentally couldn't handle it anymore. So I'm not saying that's the same situation, but as soon as like I moved home, I didn't have to work. Like I could immediately just feel my stress like go down. So I don't know, to each their own. I personally just am not a huge fan of blowing cash. There's guys around here who they drive a lot of nice stuff and they have nice things and that's great. But dude, like I got a fuck ton of money in investments, but it's not sexy. It's like, yo, look at my fucking portfolio. Like it's just, no one wants to see that shit. But like for me, that's worth it because I'm not a huge thing guy now or a guy, like I'm not a huge guy on things now, but like dude, when I'm in my 40s, for sure, like I'm going to be, I mean, I already make stupid money, but like stupid money. So if I really want to go do that, it's all going to be coming from investments. I know some guys will say it's from that, but I don't buy it. Like I just don't. I think a lot of people are here blowing cash that they don't have to flex.
Yep.
And then they use that to get clients and then they have to flex more to get more clients. And it's this endless fucking cycle.
I was going to ask about that. The business of flexing is fucking crazy.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like I'll go on someone's Instagram and there's not a single business post at all. It's literally just like, look at my fucking cars and my hot girlfriend. I'm like, what? Here's the thing. I've been in business long enough. The rich people don't care because they know they can get the car. Like I'm not impressed by a Lamborghini. I'm like, I can get one. Okay. If I really like, even recently, this isn't to throw shade at anyone, by the way, I just want to be clear, but like even recently I've seen like Bugatti's like the next Lambo. It's like everyone's getting a Bugatti. It's like, let's say it's 3 million, right? You got to put down 500 grand or $1 million. I don't know, like whatever it is, probably 20 to 40% or some shit. Like, could I do that? Yeah. Do I think it's like a wise move? No, I think it's fucking stupid, right? And it doesn't impress me. It impresses broke young guys. And it makes me sad because a lot of these broke young guys, they look at that and they want the car, and I understand it, but it's like, those guys aren't going to teach you shit about business. They're going to teach you how to post fucking cars. They're going to teach you how to post fucking hot girls. I'm like, that's not a business, bro. They don't have a business. They don't even know what, like, I can tell when I go in a room, I'll start asking questions. I'm like, you don't know shit about business. And it's not to throw shade. It's just.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
What are the questions that you ask to figure out if somebody really knows their shit?
I'll just ask them like, how do you get your leads? How do you run your funnels? How do you hire? How do you train? You just ask them business questions and it's obvious. I mean, I remember one time I met a podcaster and I asked him a business question. He's like, yeah, like, I don't really I just do the podcast. I'm like, bro, like, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. Like most people become a creator and then they have to become a business owner. There's nothing wrong with that. I was a business owner and now I'm trying to become a creator. Why? Because if I get more free traffic, I'll make shit tons more money because I know how to leverage it. But I think for the average person, it's a bullshit dream. I think it's more bullshit to try to teach someone how to be a content creator and go viral than it is to build a legitimate business, because you don't have to have a big, social media to have a business. But if you're a content creator and you don't go viral, like think about it, some people, you ain't gonna go viral. You're not tall, you ugly, your girl's not that attractive. Like, I'm just being straight. Yeah. And people don't want to hear that. They're like, oh, it's like, no, dude, like, show me the guy. Oh, you want to be like him? He's jacked, tall, and has fucking 6 cars, and his girlfriend's a 10. Like, what are you gonna do? And the reason he got that was he goes viral and he has enough people who come through and they'll pay him money, and it doesn't matter if the product's good or not. I'm like, that's not a business, bro. So I'm not throwing shade. Like, to each their own. I work with people who have no following, no brand, no skills, and I help them build businesses. Those people, it's like, they can say whatever they want, but like, you can't it's not as easy to just be like, all right, dude, say these things, you'll go viral. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't, and it takes tons of dedication. So while you're trying to be a content creator, you're running out of time. You got to make money to like survive and like actually make your dreams come true. So again, like, I'm not throwing shade at anyone. I just think it's a little like that type of flexing. It usually brings in broke young guys and that are desperate and they want those accolades. And like, I understand where they're coming from. I wanted a Lamborghini too, but you have to be able to look above the noise and know like who understands business and who is just posting shit for views. It's not like, that's not a business. That business is get as many fucking eyeballs on my shit and then fucking sell them shit. Like, a lot of times it's not good stuff, because like, what are you going to teach me? You're going to teach me how to get views, but if all you post is fucking cars and shit, it's like that's not attainable for me. Right? I don't know.
No. I think it's, I always question that, because so many people think that the dream is the car. Like, they think the dream is content business. I've found
so much work.
The most successful people I've ever met are people with the lowest burn compared to the money that they make.
Yeah.
Those are the most successful. And I mean successful in the sense of they have peace, they're happy, whatever that means to them. They have a successful business, and it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Because their expenses are so low that their business could shut off tomorrow. Right. And it won't matter. Right. And I find that being that's what I think people should be striving for, if that makes sense. Yet it's actually the people that are like, here's my Lambo.
Well, yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, I had a Lambo, and some people like, but here's the thing, like I hit $1 million a month without a Lambo. So do you need a Lambo to make $1 million? No, you don't. Right. And to be honest, when I started posting it, I don't think it made me more money. I think like some people thought it was cool and it caught attention, but like, yeah, attention's cool, but it's also, like the best business owners I like to work with, like that doesn't impress them. They want like substance. So I don't know. And I want to be known for something else. Like, it's also what you want to be known for. Like, sure, could I do OnlyFans and make a lot of money? Yeah, I probably could, bro. Like, fuck, I probably could make some fucking coin. But then it's like, that's what I'm known for. Yeah. So I don't want to be known like that. So to me, I would rather go a harder route and build substance and have people admire me for like, yo, Tanner gets business, or like Tanner is like a G with like this, like versus, oh, Tanner's got fucking 6, like, I'm not hating on anyone. Just for me, it's like, you're not impressing rich people. You're impressing poor people. And like, I don't want to impress poor people. I want to impress the people I want to be like.
How do you impress rich people?
Bro, it's a scoreboard. It's like, what do you do? Like, it's like, what are your businesses doing? Like, how long have you been in your relationships? It's like the shit that matters, I know how hard it is to build a business. So if someone says, I'm doing $3 million a month, I'm like, bro, you're a fucking G. That's fucking hard. Cause I understand it. Or if they, I sold my company for this much, it's just stuff that I have now context for that I know is difficult. It's not hard, for example. And again, it sounds like I'm just hating. I'm not. I just am very transparent. Hey,
I love it.
I can go get a Lamborghini for $5,000 a month. Yep. I can go like, and again, I'm not saying you're broke. You're not broke to get that. You have to have some money. But again, it impresses the common person. If the person can afford it, they're not impressed. Why would you be? I can get that too. Cool. Next. So the things that impress me is like when someone's building something that's like difficult. It's, like the people I like talking to, they got big companies, they're driving, maybe they've got a great relationship, like stuff that I know it's valuable and it's difficult to do. And again, that's probably because I had a Lambo and after 6 months, I didn't give a fuck. That's probably why I say that. So again, there are some people, and I will agree with this. They'll say, oh, you say that to feel better about yourself because you're poor, you can't get a girl. I do agree with that. Meaning, if you can't get a 10, then you really shouldn't be commenting on a guy's 10. Or if you can't get a Lamborghini, you probably, but because I've been able to do that, I can just be like, I don't want it. And what are they going to say? Nothing, because I did get it and I do have it. But again, it doesn't matter, dude. It's like everyone's doing the best they can, I think. I just hate seeing young guys get influenced by the flashy things, thinking they're going to learn something from that guy. When in reality, some of the guys I talk to, it's like, they don't know anything. Like, they don't know ads, they don't know funnels, they don't know hiring or training. They're just like, yeah, like, post this, get a bunch of people to your DMs, sell them in the DM a link, and that's your business. And it's like, dude, that is like not a business. It's like, it's a job. Like, a business is something that makes money without you. So, but again, to each their own. Like, I don't care what someone does. If that's what they want to do, cool. But I think, like, I could go be an operator, I think, in any business. There's nothing I do not know. I've done it. Like, I hired, I trained, I've done copy, I've done funnels. And like, I think that's valuable. So if something happened today, I could easily go be an operator in anyone's company and probably demand a crazy salary.
The whole show is called Piece of Grit because,
Peace and grind?
Piece and Grit.
Piece of grit. I like that.
Because we, as a kid, you get the, you're such a piece of shit. And what we realized is most of the people who did anything had a little piece of grit.
Yeah.
So what does, when you think of grit, what does that mean to you?
Dude, it's just not giving up. It sounds so cliche, but every time something good's happened in my life, it was just the willingness to keep going. I wish I could be more sexy. I started... I was a friggin' slow white boy at 12 years old. I got to play D1 football. I got to play against some first round draft picks. And I got hurt. That's as far as I could go, but I took it as far as I could go. I started a business and made $2,000 for the first 2 years. Then I did 100 million in 6. Like, I almost quit the whole time. But I mean, it really, for me, like, the opportunity cost, we don't know what that is. But I remember there was a day where I said, man, if I made that decision to go back to school, let's say I made 100 grand a year. So 115 million minus 600,000 is 114 million, 0.4 million. Dude, that's fucking crazy to think about. My life would have been completely different if I just been a little bitch and I just quit. And that's the reality. Like, it's not going to feel good all the time. It's not like, I think so many people, they get so accustomed to like, I have to feel good and this. And it's like, no, bro, you do not have to feel good. You just got to fucking do the work. And that's just how I was raised, and it's helped me a lot. It helps me. I've had more success with that mindset than the people who get offended and, oh, that's not the way to grind and all that type of stuff. Something I respect about Mosey is like, nobody can say shit to him besides, oh, you don't fucking enjoy your life enough. It's like, bro, throw the guy some fucking respect. He's kicking your ass. Yeah. He's so far ahead of you. It's like, he's on a different planet. But all they can think about is, oh, well, he doesn't have work-life balance. Bitch, how hard do you think it would be if he wanted some? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just that stuff annoys me because people will basically try to justify their mediocrity. It's like, bro, if you want that, great, but don't fucking put someone down who's a fucking G, who's killing it. And so to me, grit, it's just you make a plan A, you burn plan B and C, and you fucking make it work. And if it doesn't work, you'll actually feel good about yourself. You can die and go, I tried everything I could to be successful. Or you will be successful and that will also feel good. But the one thing that you won't be proud of is, oh yeah, I wonder what could have happened. When football ended for me, there was nothing else I could have done. I was an average white guy. I did all the workouts. I did all the training. I had all the surgeries. I did the summer I had fucking everything. You guys would have just been like, what the fuck? So when it was over, I was like, that's it. I'm good. There were guys I would play with, first round draft picks that went in the second or third round because they couldn't stop smoking weed. I'm like, bro, he doesn't even work out. It was like Booby Miles shit from Friday Night Lights. Yep. All you got to do is stop smoking a fucking blunt. Guy went from the 10th pick in the draft to the second round, lost $10 million. I'm like, you dumb fuck.
That's crazy.
Right. And it's like, it's just because like, I can't stop smoking weed. Or something stupid. That's what most people's mindset is if it's too hard or it takes too long or I get a boo-boo, they don't want to deal with it. And then they go on this whole thing about their feelings. I'm like, dude, that's nice. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm not saying maybe you're not depressed or like whatever. Mental health advocate stuff, like whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. Facts. Nobody cares. And so for me, I find it more helpful to simply go, I don't feel like doing it. Ignore that. Do it anyways. And it takes less energy than going, why do I not want to do it? I really do want to do it. And this and this and this. And I'm like, bro, like I'm literally getting tired listening to you. I have clients like that. And they don't move very far in life because most of the time they spend is worrying about what could happen or what didn't happen versus just doing the fucking work.
Facts.
Yeah. That might have been the best flu game in podcast history.
All right, man. That was
Mike, the one thing the 5 characteristics or the 4 characteristics. I want to get your take on this because we're the podcast, we're building a theory.
Okay. So like everybody we interview, obviously everyone we want to bring on is a high performer, successful. And there's a running theory that we're keeping and hopefully will keep changing as we do this. But what are we're trying to find the commonalities between high performers. Is there something that across the board, like if you're a high performer, you have this innately, right? Current theory is effective communication.
okay.
Constant motion, so lack of an off button.
Yep.
Ruthless delegation.
Ruthless delegation.
And what was the last one?
I don't remember the last one, but point being, what are your thoughts on?
What are the common threads?
Yeah, I think I said earlier a bit. I think there is some insecurity. There's some insecurity that drives them to prove that they are who they say they are. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I got bullied because before that I thought I was the G. Yeah. And maybe I was, right? You could make the argument, you're fine as you are, whatever. But reality was I got picked on because I was weird and I wore different shit and I was a very like nurtured little boy and they fucked with me. So I was like, fuck you. And it helped me go out in the world and make my place. So like crippling insecurity that you're not good enough. And then I think just like crazy ambition that you can become like more. Like I don't, when I see people, it's the difference. Like even when I was a kid, I saw Billie Jean and most people in the comments, what do they say? Oh, you don't make that much. That's a rent. Like all this bullshit. I was like, yo, bro, it's like that guy, like I can be like that guy. That guy has nothing I don't have.
Delusional confidence. That was the last one.
It's just insecure. It's like, it's crippling insecurity and delusional confidence, like you said. And the other shit, like after that, I feel like everything else will come together because whenever I feel like I'm not good enough, I sit there, I have a bad day, I'm like, fuck, and then I'm like, fuck that, and then I just go back to it because I don't want to admit I'm not good enough. That just makes no sense. So those would be the two biggest things. And then I'll just say across the board with my clients, a lot of them, they just think too much. That, I'm uncomfortable doing this, I'm uncomfortable doing that. I'm like, bro, and when you get to a point you'd rather be homeless than be broke, you'll win. That's what happened to me. The first 2 years, I was bullshitting. I said I cared. I didn't care, bro. I said I cared. When I finally moved home and I was like, if I don't make it this year, like I'm going to go back to school because I'm a fucking loser, everything changed for me because all of a sudden my back was against the wall. And I would just like to see more people take action. People are like, what's the best advice you can give? I'm like, do what it takes. And if you don't know, hire a fucking coach, the end. That's it. Yeah. It's not that complex, but people want to make it that way.
So that could be like quick decision making, right? So it's like if you're moving if you're moving obstacles out of the way fast and you're making these decisions.
I mean, I will make more decisions in a day than some people make in a year.
Yeah, and so in one day why they're sitting on trying to just decide on one thing.
Like, what do you think the most common question is I get? Tanner, should I do this or this? Just fucking pick and you'll know.
Yeah,
just fucking choose. It doesn't matter. Like sometimes I have a lot of experience in business, so if I've done both, yes, I can give you context. That's the point. I get it. But how do you think I learned in the beginning? I just chose. I was like, I think this will work.
Yeah.
And if it works, I go with it. If it doesn't, I go to the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and people will just sit there, oh my God, and I'm like, you're just making it worse. Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm delusional, like you said. I don't know if it's because I don't feel anything. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I don't envy those people. When I sit there and watch how anxious they get and fear, I'm like, bro, like, what are you scared of? Like, you're poor. You have nothing to lose. You can always stay poor.
I think it comes down to like that indecisiveness. I think people don't have the proof throughout their day that they are who they say.
Yeah, because they lie to themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they don't keep commitments to themselves. They say they'll go to the gym, they fucking don't do it. They say they're going to come to a podcast, they make a bullshit excuse or they're sick. Like, that's why I came today. Because if I don't come, then I start going, maybe I should have gone, maybe I shouldn't have. Then I start doubting myself. Then I get this guilt and shame. Then I'm like, fuck, like, am I a person who keeps his word? It's like, they just don't keep commitments they make. If you just keep your fucking commitments, no matter how you feel, that's how you change. And that's why, like, I don't love all this mindset shit, because it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel. That's the point. That's why I don't understand why that's so crazy. People are like, you're not a mental health. I'm like, bro, it doesn't matter how you feel.
Yeah.
You just got to do the fucking work. So if you work out at the gym and you didn't feel good versus the guy who did, who got more muscles? Both. Like if it's equal work, you got equal results. And so I don't worry about that stuff because it doesn't matter. And we're human. Maybe I wake up and I'm on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe I wake up and I'm in a great mood. I don't sit there and have to analyze it for 3 hours. It's like, cool, today's a great day. Enjoy the great days. When you have a bad day, fuck, I'll do it anyways. And then like, you just realize as a human being, the confidence comes from just doing what you say you will do. And that's it, man.
Yeah.
And the results don't matter. They don't. And I've gotten results, so I know that. Like when I got results, I started to realize it doesn't matter as much if I get the result as if I do the actions to get the result. That's the big thing.
That was the thing that I recognized going from that place of indecisiveness to that decisiveness. It usually came down to the fact that I proved to myself in every other area. Like I think one of the coolest things you can ever do, and this is why I love what you do. You have an idea in your head. I'd like to work for myself. I would like to build a business. I want to create value. I want to have employees, whatever. That being in your head and then that becoming a reality, I believe was the biggest differentiator for me being able to then accept the fact that no, I can do fucking crazy shit in this world. And all we do constantly, like we just got done a 126 mile trail race. I actually want to get your take on that.
126 what?
Mile trail race.
Really.
So
32.
it was between 4 people.
That's crazy, bro.
We do these races though, like usually we're doing some content around it. So more this
like
year.
the ultra runner shit.
Yeah. No,
That's another level, bro.
but why do we do it? It's because obviously we get a lot of activity in our business. Like we get a lot of that accomplishment.
Sure.
But what I was able to do by going through one of those races is I was able to prove it was like an ayahuasca experience.
Yeah.
It was like a psychedelic experience.
You
pushed yourself to the literal physical limit that you have available. And there was no question marks afterwards. So after I did 15 hours of walking up and down a mountain for, whatever, the next day at work, so a client's pissed, this is happening, it's trivial.
Yeah, it's not a big
bullshit.
deal. It's not a big deal. Nothing's a big deal. Like sometimes I'll just pretend something happened 100 times in a row. I'm like, whatever.
Yep.
Right? We make stuff into this big deal. Nothing's a big deal. But again, like everyone's on their own journey. I didn't figure this out in a day. It took me, I would say, 32 years to get to this point. I'm sure when I'm 37, I'll look back at this episode and be like, what an idiot. Probably think new stuff. But I just think it's the mindset to want to improve and be better and be all you can be. And some people, they're not even there. Like I'm okay to make mistakes. It's just, I want to be the best I can be. And like, I don't know, there's just no reason to be scared. Like someone else out there has done what I'm trying to do. In fact, like when I've been building these tech companies, I'll end on this, is Alex Becker. I remember he did this whole presentation, right? It was great. And he gets to the end, he's like, but honestly, guys, just start trying to build it and you'll figure it out as you go. And I was like, dude, you're so right. Like if you need to build an app, what would you do first? Probably to get a developer. Okay, get the developer. He starts making it. Okay, then what do you do next? Okay, we got to sell it. So how are we going to, sometimes we will make stuff so complex. We're like, I need the whole battle plan. It's like, dude, if you just do one step at a time, what you should do next is very apparent. And we'll try to build it up in our head. So for me, like for example, building a tech company is very new. It's very different. You have to build a product before you sell it, which is different than what I'm used to. But honestly, it's like I'm just learning. And I was like, you have to enjoy that. And you have to just be okay not knowing everything. And I don't know. So
feel forward.
Yeah, if anyone could just take something, I just would just go for what you want. And one day, if you've had any type of success, you'll realize it doesn't matter if you hit the goal. It just matters if you tried your best. That's it, dude. Because there's not everyone just wants to hit their full potential. Right? Everyone just wants to hit their full potential. I'm okay if I'm not the smartest person. I just want to be the best version of my capabilities, right? I want to, if I die and I meet my creator, I just want to be like, bro, you are a fucking G. This is what you could be. Look how close you are. Or you are the
self-actualization.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, all these guys are better than me. All you're going to care about is were you the best you can be? That's it.
Did you play your video game the best?
Yeah, man. And this is a video game. It's the funny part. It's this is a fucking video game. Nothing we do really matters. So it's just go out and fucking try to win.
Fuck.
Hell yeah.
That was awesome. Any way people can support you?
Yeah. So I would just say the best way, if anyone needs help or they have questions, just DM me on Tanner.Chidester, the word grit. That way I know they came from the podcast. And that's it, man. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.